Welcome everybody to today's webinar on Domestic Reverse Charge VAT. My name is Nilesh and I am a support consultant here at 4PS. So as you may already know, Reverse Charge VAT has been in the pipeline for a while now, and HMRC have set a new go live date for this, which is now the 1st of March 2021. We'll look at what this means and the changes that will need to be made within 4PS Construct in order for you to be compliant. So what is Domestic Reverse Charge VAT all about? Well, let's start with a quick overview. Domestic Reverse Charge VAT, also referred to as Reverse Charge or DRC. Basically, HMRC are making major changes to the way that they collect VAT in the building and construction industry. What it means is that customers who actually receive services will have to pay HMRC directly opposed to paying the suppliers. However, this only applies to businesses that are VAT registered. It will also apply if you supply or receive services under the CIS scheme. What does this mean for contractors and subcontractors? For contractors, you need to check all the contracts that you have with subcontractors and determine whether DRC applies to the contracts or not. If it does, then you'll need to let the suppliers know. Whereas if you're a subcontractor, you'll need to contact your customers and confirm whether DRC will apply or not, and also determine whether they are end users or intermediary suppliers. Okay, so under what circumstances DRC does not apply? Well, DRC does not apply to end users and intermediary supplier businesses. What this means is that end users, i.e. consumers or final customers, of building and contractual services who are VAT and CIS registered, will need to ensure suppliers do not apply for DRC on services that are supplied to them. Intermediary suppliers are both VAT and CIS registered businesses that are linked to end users. The reverse charge does not apply to suppliers where the intermediary supplier notifies their supplier or building contractor in writing that they are intermediary suppliers. Intermediary suppliers can refer to themselves as end users. We have an example here. A property owning group may buy construction services through one member of the group and recharge those services to either other group companies, their tenants, or both. All the members of the property owning group and their tenants will be end users, and the reverse charge should not apply. Okay, so moving on to 4PS Construct, what setup is required? I'll start with, we need to make some changes in the VAT posting setup. A new business posting group will need to be created. This is for the subcontractors that are subject to DRC. However, the posting group will only apply for those that are within the CIS scheme. As well as this, a new VAT product posting group is required. To set up to define that DRC applies, we'll also need to set up another one to define that DRC does not apply. So that's two VAT product posting groups, one to say it does and one to say it does not. You could also set up an additional VAT product posting group if you're using a reduced rate of 5% and call it perhaps DRC 5. Once the posting groups have been set up, we need to add the combinations onto the VAT posting setup. And then finally, we need to amend the VAT statement to include all the new combinations. We'll take a look at this a bit later. So that's it for the posting setup. Now, what records do we need to update within 4PS Construct? Well, there's a few. Subcontractor card. We need to update this so that the new DRC VAT business posting group will be added to subcontractors that are both CIS registered and VAT registered. The project clients. If DRC applies to the contract, then the new VAT product posting group must be entered on the project client itself. The project setup. Where a project is not subject to DRC, we need to say this on the project, that it is non-DRC. We do this by updating the VAT product posting group to the new non-DRC product posting group. Service contracts. So some of you are operating in a service environment. If DRC applies, then the VAT product posting group must be changed to the new DRC code. And finally, service orders. If DRC does apply, then you'll need to change the VAT product posting group to the new DRC code. So this can be quite a big job to update all the records manually. But thankfully, we have an update report for 4PS Construct to help make the process easier and quicker. The report will allow you to update the VAT business posting groups on subcontractor cards and open subcontractor orders for those subbies who are VAT registered and within the CIS scheme. It will also update the VAT product posting group on project clients and contracts to the new VAT product posting group. As well as this, the service contracts and service orders VAT product posting group will be updated. With that being said, let's move on and take a look at the setup within 4PS Construct. So to start with, we said that we need to create a new VAT business posting group. You could do this by navigating to the VAT business posting group page. We have a shortcut here on our page, but you could also use the search function. Then once you're on the page, it's a fairly straightforward process. You'll need to click on New and assign it a code and a description. In this case, we've already done it. We've made a new one and gave it a description of DRC subcontractor and a code of sub or subbies. Once that's done, you can click on OK and we can move on to the VAT product posting groups. So for the VAT product posting groups, it's pretty much the same again. Open up the VAT product posting groups page, click on New, give us a new code and description. So we have set up 3 codes here. DRC for the standard 20% rate with a description of domestic reverse charge 20%. And for those of you who operate with a reduced rate, you'll need another code. So we have set up DRC5 for the 5% rate, and we gave it a description of domestic reverse charge 5%. We've also set up a code called NR for non-DRC. There's also an extra step on this page. So as you can see further down here, we have a tick box against the 20% standard code and 5% reduced codes. So this field may be hidden to start with, so you may need to make it visible, but it's called Allow Project Reduced Rate Substitution. And this is used to allow, dependent on the project, where the rate is either 20% standard or 5% reduced, you to employ the new reverse charge. Once this is all done, you could then click on Close. So now that we have set up the new business posting groups and product posting groups, we'll need to add these to our VAT posting setup. Again, we have a shortcut here, but you can search for the VAT posting setup using the search box in the top right. As you can see here, we have our subcontractor VAT business posting groups, and we simply need to add in the VAT combinations that we have just entered. So as you can see, we've got a few lines here. Sub NR, sub R and sub S. So sub NR is non-reverse, 20%. Sub R is a reduced rate of 5%, and sub S is the standard rate of 20%. So from a customer perspective, we'll need to add in the UK as they are not subcontractors. In this database, UK is our standard VAT business posting group. So as you can see, we've added in the combination for UK DRC with S20 as the identifier and UK DRC 5 for the reduced rate of 5%. A bit further down, we've also added in a new combination for UK NR, which is, of course, UK non-reverse charge VAT with S20 as the identifier. So there's a few other settings that needs to be amended on this page before we move on. So the lines that are looking at the reverse charge, you also need to amend the VAT calculation type. So up here, we've changed the calculation to reverse charge for subcontractors. It's similar to how we do it for Europe, as it's the same calculation type and the same process that is happening. We've also specified the VAT percentage against these lines on the left-hand side. So we've got 5%, 20%, 20% and 5%. So you'll need to add these in against these lines as well. We will then need to specify which reverse charge VAT accounts these lines need to go against. So we've added that in over here. And we've also added in a VAT clause code on the right-hand side for DRC so that we can see the information here. So there's a bit of setup here in the VAT posting setup, but once this is done, we can then move on to the next step, which of course is updating the VAT statement to include the new combinations that we have just set up. Okay, so now we can leave this page and navigate to our VAT statement for the next step. So again, we have a shortcut here, but you can search for this using the search bar in the top right hand corner. And as you can see, we have quite a large VAT statement on this database. And what we need to do here is ensure that all our new combinations are added to the statement. So you can see on screen that we have the sublines here, but we'll also need to ensure that our purchasing amounts, our base fields, and also the combinations for UK and DRC sales are included. Up here we should have the UK DRC 5%, so if we scroll through, here we go, and we also have the UK DRC 20%. So because of the nature of our system, in terms of now treating sales as negatives and purchases as positives, we'll need to add these lines here at the bottom. This is to enable us to use our calculations correctly. So we have added these lines here at the bottom, and these lines basically detail out the subcontractor entries from the purchaser side. And all we have changed really is the calculate with sign. So we've changed the calculate with sign to the opposite sign. So what this means is that we are changing these lines for 5% and 20% combinations to negatives. This is so that it is calculated correctly on our summary lines at the top. And of course, our summary lines are used for our online VAT return. So if we make our way to the top of the VAT statement to our summary lines, we can see our box numbers 1 to 9. And what we want to do here now is include the DRC entries in our sales line, so box number 1. So this will show our sales figures plus the DRC purchases figures. So as you can see here, we've added in row totaling, so we've added in row number 8100 and 8200 to include the DRC lines. So we also need to do this for box 3, so that the VAT due will also include the DRC figures. So again, we've added in lines 8100 and 8200 to the row totaling. So all in all, there is quite a bit of setup to be done on your VAT statement, and as mentioned, this summary section at the top, so boxes 1 to 9, will be used for your online VAT returns. So anything that has been changed and included against these box numbers will pull through onto your online returns and will be submitted to HMRC. So in this example, we have made changes to box number 1 and box number 3 to include the DRC lines, so that will pull through to the VAT return. Now that we've made these changes, we can turn our attention to updating the records. So if we leave this page, we can then navigate to the subcontractors list. And if we find a record and open the card, so if we just click on Edit, we could then scroll down to the Invoicing tab, where we'll find the VAT Business Posting Groups field. So if you can remember from earlier, we said that we need to change this to the new DRC code, which we called sub, and this needs to be changed if they are VAT registered and within the CIS scheme. So if they're CIS registered, i.e. not outside the CIS scheme. So this one can be changed to the new VAT Business Posting Group called sub. We also suggest that if you are using vendor templates, to update them with the new VAT Business Posting Group, so that going forwards the information will be applied when setting up new vendors. Once this has been done, you'll also need to update the subcontractor orders. So that's it for subcontractors. So in summary, we said that the subcontractor cards, subcontractor orders, and also the vendor templates will all need updating. So now from a project perspective. So if we navigate to our project cards, and on the client records, if you have confirmation that reverse charge does not apply to your contracts, then you'll need to update the VAT product posting group on the client card. So if we click on clients and we select the relevant client and click on edit, so we can then navigate down to the invoicing tab and we can see the VAT product posting group field here. So we could update this to either the new DRC code for standard 20% or DRC5 with a reduced rate of 5%, depending on what applies to the actual client. So if the project is not subject to DRC, then we'll need to update the project card itself. So if we go back to the project card, and if we go down to the invoicing tab, we can see this field here called subcontractor reduced rate VAT code applicable field. So if it's not subject to DRC, we need to change this to our new code for non-reverse charge. So if we drill down here, we can see we created a code for non-DRC called NR. So that's it for subcontractor cards, subcontractor orders, and vendor templates. And then we've just looked at project clients and project cards. So that leaves us with updating the records for service. So if we start off by navigating to the service contracts. So once you have confirmed that reverse charge does apply to your service contracts, then you'll need to navigate to the service contract list, find the service contract and click on edit. So it's pretty much the same process as it was for the project clients. So if we navigate down to the Invoicing Fast tab, we then need to update the VAT product posting group for the service contract. So depending on whether DRC applies or not, if it does apply, we'll need to change the product posting group to either 20%, so the DRC code, or DRC5 for the lower reduced rate of 5%. So whichever one's applicable, DRC or DRC5, we select and update the service contract. So then moving on to service orders, if we navigate to the service orders list and open a service order by clicking on edit, we again navigate down to the Invoicing Fast tab and we'll find the VAT product posting group there again. And this needs to be updated to either DRC or DRC5, depending on which will apply to this service order. So we have gone through updating the subcontractor cards, the subcontractor orders, the project cards, the project clients, and also service contracts and service orders. So all in all, it's a big task to complete in order to be ready for DRC. However, as we mentioned earlier, these records can all be updated using the update report that we will be sending out to customers. The only thing the report will not update is the vendor template, which will need to be done manually. So with that being said, that brings us to the end of today's session. I understand that there's a lot of information to take in here. However, we will be sending out a manual with the update report, which includes all of the information in today's presentation. Hopefully you found today's session useful. Thank you for your time today. Hopefully that made sense to you all. If you do have any questions, please feel free to contact Adam or support. As mentioned, we will be sending documentation out over the next few days, so please keep an eye out on your emails. Thank you again.